Assalamu alaikum guys. So in this video I just want to discuss very quickly about the income tax. So there are two categories of income tax in India. So one is the old regime tax and the other one is the new regime tax. Okay, so I'll just quickly tell you what is the difference between both of them. Okay, so if you just search for income tax on Google, you will come across this website called incometax.gov.in. So go ahead into that website and click on the, depending on which category of person you belong to. So I will just show you some example of salaried employees. So if you are a salaried employees, you can select this one. Under this you will see there is an option called tax slabs. So for each of the tax range, what is the for each of the salary range, income range, what is the tax that you need to pay is given mentioned here. Okay, so you have a group based on age. Okay, so I'll just discuss just briefly about less than 60 years of age. Okay, so you see you have something called existing tax regime and then you have a new tax regime. Okay, so you have a income tax slab, for example, up to 25 up to 2,50,000 you don't have to pay income tax. Okay, but between 2,50,000 to 5 lakh you need to pay 5% of the tax. Okay, which is common for existing tax as well as the new tax regime. Okay, but if your income is from 5 lakh to 10 lakh, then you have to pay 20% of tax in the existing tax regime and you will be paying 10% of the tax for the new tax regime. Okay, but so again, this is how the tax slabs are there and the respective income tax rate is mentioned here, how much you need to pay for depending on which slab you fall in. Okay, but if you see here, but here is the catch here, the twist here is in the existing tax regime you see the income tax rate is slightly higher compared to the new tax regime, but there is a slight dependencies are there. So the difference is that in existing or the old tax regime you have a lot of options available by which you can reduce your tax. Okay, which is not present in the new tax regime. Okay, so this 10% you will have to pay this tax as it is. You don't have much option to get this tax reduced. Okay, so if you go down here, okay, so this is for 60 plus, this is for 80 plus of people. So if you go down there, so if you see here, tax reduction is specified under in 6A of Income Tax Act. These deductions will not be available to taxpayers opting for the new tax regime. Okay, so if you're going for the new tax regime, you won't be applicable for all the belows or deduction. Okay, so there are a lot of options are available by which you can get your tax reduced. So this is only applicable for old tax regime or existing tax regime. So let's see what are the options are there. Like for example, if you have life insurance premium, tuition fees of your children, or any housing loan, etc. So by which you can showcase this thing as a proof and you can get your tax reduced. But this thing option is not available for tax regime. So this is a slight difference here. You can see all the options. What are the things you can avail here. So you have a lot of categories or which is applicable only for old or existing tax regime, not applicable for new tax regime. So this is the only difference. So if you are a person who can showcase these things, then definitely go for the old tax regime. And if you are an independent person, you don't have much dependency, then it's your choice. You can go for the new tax regime, because there you see the tax rate are slightly lesser compared to the existing tax regime. Okay, so I hope that you get a difference between existing tax regime and new tax regime. I'll see you guys in another video, and let me know if you have any doubts or questions in the comment section.